Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to task 47. We are going to start much like we did in our last task. We're going to open the prior work and save it as our new name, task 47. So I already opened my task 46. I'm going to copy the workspace. I'm going to rename to task 47. I think this is my fourth one, perhaps. And I'm going to copy it right over here. So once you have your task renamed, we're going to go to double click on sketch 1 so we can get back into editing our sketch. And I'm looking at it from the front perspective. Task 47 is all about adding dimensions and symmetry. So we are going to, let me zoom in a little bit here. We're going to make sure that we have these dimensional constraints enforced. Dimensions are another form of constraint because they're basically setting a rule about the size of various components. And we want to make sure, by the way, that our dimensions are in millimeters. I'm trying to set up this diagram so that it's easy for you to read. We're going to look for 20 millimeters for the line on top and an overall width of 100. We're going to be 45 millimeters overall, and then 15 millimeters for this leg, 15 millimeters for the bottom leg. This is line 10. And we're 5 millimeters on the diameter of our circles. So by defining this diameter, we're also defining this one, right? Because this is just a mirror of the first circle. So let's go into our sketch and get those dimensions done. We are going to get our dimensioning tool, select line 6, and make it 20 millimeters. You might want to double check, by the way, your workspace units. Are you still in millimeters? I have found from time to time when I copy workspace, I need to reinforce. I want to be in millimeters. Okay, so we have defined the dimension for line 6. Let's go ahead and do line 7. That was going to be 15, right? My dimensioning tool selected, and I need my 15 millimeters here, as well as 15 millimeters on line 10. Excellent. And then we said overall, we're at a height of 45, so I'm clicking on the top line, clicking on the bottom line, and then I can move my cursor to the right. The larger dimensions are further away, I guess, from the part, closer to the edge of the screen. So I'm making this 45 overall. And then I see this is something that I might want to fix. I might go back to that, but let's see what happens when I add my final dimension. We are going to be 100 millimeters in the overall width. Oh, that kind of fixed what I wanted to fix. Good. And finally, if you haven't already, this circle here is going to be 5 millimeters in diameter. So we have our dimensions defined here. We are going to now think about the other instructions here on the slide are to think about, are we fully constrained at this point? How can you tell? And then how can we add geometric constraints to enforce symmetry and fully constrain the sketch? Well, how can you tell if this sketch is fully constrained? You might think about how when we were making a lot of our sketches in November and December, we used to look at the colors, right? If there was something in blue, we were not fully constrained, as in the dimensions were not defined. When something was black, it was fully constrained. Another hint is once something is fully constrained, you can't really move things around. I think at this point, if something is blue, can I move it? I guess not in this case. Probably the thing that's not fully constrained is just the orientation of these lines. So we want to fully constrain if possible, and I wonder if adding the geometric constraints to enforce symmetry will help us. That's the next step. So we want to, my thought is to add symmetry, we're going to pretty much do what we did down here, which was to take a midpoint and align it with the y-axis. So let's make another construction line. I'm getting my construction tool, my line. I'm going to go from this point where lines 3 and 4 intersect to the point where lines 7 and 8 intersect. Have a new construction line. I'm going to make a construction point, and I want it to be at the midpoint of my new line here. So again, if I kind of move my mouse along the line, oh, I see it. I see the midpoint symbol. That means this is where I should put my point, and it will be a midpoint. I'm clicking. If I show constraints, yep, there's my midpoint symbol. Okay. So we have the midpoint of our new construction line, which connects these points. We want to add symmetry so that the entire part is symmetrical over this y-axis. So let's go ahead and use the coincident tool. Let's see if we can make the midpoint and the y-axis coincident. Yeah, I think that did it. So I saw things slide into place. The midpoint is on the y-axis now. Things look symmetrical to me, and guess what? I don't see any blue lines, which to me means that the sketch is fully constrained. So I'm going to actually accept the sketch. Well, before we accept the sketch, we should take a screenshot. So we want constraints to be showing, and we want your name to be showing. You can screenshot your figure with all of its constraints, and you're done with task 47. Good job.